Hi, welcome to One Part a Day video series. So this part here is a relatively simple prismatic part shown on an isometric grid. When you're looking at parts that are on an isometric grid, it is sometimes helpful to visualize the bounding box that surrounds it. So in this case, the bounding box has a front dimension of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can think of the squares as your typical isometric square. So it's 6 in this direction, and then right hand side, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 6 by 5, and then going up in the height, again, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now when you're creating parts like this, I do recommend you actually essentially sketch in the bounding box, because it can get a little confusing sometimes with so many lines, and that sometimes you end up with incorrect dimensions. Now the only thing to point out, you have to kind of make your assumptions here. So I'm assuming that this square is 1 unit high, and this cutout here I'm assuming is a half block or a half unit cutout, and that this piece here goes up a full unit. So this little triangular piece is actually 1.5 above this flat surface here. Alright, so let's get to it and let's go ahead and make this part. I'm going to start by making this 6 by 5 by 1 base. So let me go ahead and create a new part. I'm going to use units of inches because when I'm making something on a isometric grid, it doesn't make any difference as to what unit you choose, as long as you're staying consistent with whatever unit you choose. So this box now will be 1 inch by 1 inch, and so on. So I'll go ahead and create a sketch. I'm going to make my sketch on the front plane and make it a 1 by 6, so that when I put this back in isometric view, the orientation of my part will be as it's shown in the picture here, which makes it easy to check whether or not you've done everything correctly. So there's 1 by 6, and I'll go directly to the Feature tab, hit Extrude. I like to flip the direction so I'm working into the paper. It's the way I'm visualizing the part. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this L-shaped part. So I'll make a sketch onto this side, and instead of making it L-shaped, I'm actually going to make it a block. So this is a 4 in this direction, and it's coming out 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a 4 by 4, and the height is going to be again 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a 4 by 4 by 4 cube. So I'm just going to select my point here, and I'll come out, and I'll make this side and this side equal to each other, and I'll set the distance to being 4. And I'll go ahead and go Features, Extruded Boss, and I'll come up 4 units. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I have a cutout of that. That's going to be 3 by 3, and it's going to come down a distance of 3.5. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll just do a sketch onto this plane. And again, I'll just go here. Now, of course, I could do this a bunch of different ways, but sometimes using multiple features is just as easy as creating a more complex single sketch. So this will be 3, and I'm going to go Features, Extruded Cut, and as I said, I'm going to go down a distance of 3.5. So my distance down will be 3.5. Alright, so now the next thing I need to do is I just need to cut off this little bit here. So I'll go Sketch. I'll sketch on this plane. And I'm just going to go ahead and draw a triangle. And this dimension here is going to be 1. So now I'll do a Features, Extruded Cut. And in this case, again, I'll go through all. Alright, so now the last thing I need to do is I need to put this little triangular piece in. So I'll go ahead and I'll make a sketch on this right here. And now what I'll do is I'll start from this corner. I'll just go over some set distance. I know I'm going to have to go over so that this length here is 2, so I'll just go up here somewhere, go up a little bit high, and just come down to finish my triangle. All right, so the dimensions are going to be this. I can put this within, right, because that's what I've been kind of working with, or I can also count this as being 3. Either way, so let me just go and I'll keep up with my width here, and I'll make that 2. And then I'm going to make this height 1.5. And that's all I need to do. And now I can do it features, extruded boss, flip the direction, and I'll go through all. All right, so now let's verify that the part looks like it's supposed to be. So I'll come up here under my view orientation, and I'll put it in isometric view, and we can compare the two, and they do look pretty good. All right, so now I want to point out sort of a curious thing and sort of a gotcha situation, because now I pulled this drawing out of a graphics textbook, and you kind of assume that everything is correct here. Well, one thing I want to show you here is, well, let me bring over another diagram, which I just put together, and I think it'll make some sense to you. Or hopefully. All right, so I just made this triangle. Let me just move the parts around so that you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm going up from this point, and it goes up 3 units. So 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to go back and put this line in, and I'm going out 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So this becomes a 3, 4, 5 triangle. Right? So now let's take a look at this line over here, that we assume that this is a planar face. So if I just hit Control C and Control V, and now just move this line over, and we get to that point, you're going to notice something. Well, this part is drawn incorrectly. So we're going to find out if we come over to this face and we look at that triangle. Well, we come over here and we're going to recognize that this is a 3, 4, 5 triangle. So this distance and this distance can't both be 1. We can, of course, verify that by doing a quick sketch onto this side. And if we brought a line from here over to here, it's very easy to see that this is not a 45-degree triangle. So something just to be aware of, that you can end up with those issues even when you're drawing a picture out of a textbook. All right, so if you're wondering what the surface area and volume is for this part, let's evaluate it. And we'll go to Mass Properties, and we end up with a volume of 61.63 cubic inches and a surface area of 134.3. Now, down in the description of the video, I will post both a copy of this picture and my Solidworks file, so you can take a look at both if you're so inclined. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video, and tune in tomorrow for another part.